Hello! If you're watching this, you're either one of my close friends or fans, or you want to lose some weight, or both! Gravy is here. Hold on, let me get it pulled up here. Let me find it here. I want to move it to this screen so that there we go. Okay. So, you want to lose weight. I wrote this. I don't know if I can tools edit history. Where's edit history? Hold on. There's a way to find it. Review suggested edits. View history? File edit history? I know this is version history. See version history. I have not touched this document since January 4th. Which I'm realizing you might not have been able to see that, but I could see it, which is all that matters. So, the reason I'm making a video is to re-go over this and update things about losing weight. I was about 355, 360 at my peak. My highest recorded was about 355, but I could have swore at some point in college I stepped on the scale and it was like 260 something. But neither here nor there. Or 360, right? Yeah, 360, not 260. 260s, I'm just below the 260s now, because now I weighed in this morning at about 257.8. Still a ways to go, obviously, but I look more like a human being now, as opposed to some old pictures. Let me see if I have any pictures of me before. I can put them up on the screen. Do I have before pictures? This is a good one. This is a good picture. To make it tiny so you can see it. But this was me at, I don't know, somewhere in the 330s. Probably. And, yeah, pretty chunky. Pretty chunky, bro. You can tell by the face as well, you know what I mean? Comparing, it's a noticeable improvement, I'd say. So weight loss tips and tricks and the overall roadmap from Chunka Dunka to Hubba Hubba. Disclaimer: obviously, I'm not a scientist, a nutritionist, or anything. I am not legally qualified to replace a coach, act as a coach, but a guy with a camera, and I'm allowed to record myself speaking. So I'm not legally responsible for anything you do, because this is just this is art. This is entertainment. This is not genuine coaching. I'm not selling anything. I'm not making money on this. So yeah. Another big thing is there's going to be numbers, and I'm going to say numbers throughout this, and I'm just going to tell you right now that the numbers are not direct. You know, like if I say a cookie is 600 calories, if I tell you like, oh, mayonnaise, that adds 100 calories, that's a general statement, right? And I'll get into that. But the biggest thing that you need to understand for weight loss, the biggest thing, and truly the only thing that matters to me, is your resting calorie burn plus your active calorie burn is your total maintenance calories. That is the amount of energy your body expends breathing, pumping your blood, organ functions, walking around, everything that you do, exercise, everything combined, all of the energy used to keep you doing the things that you do is one number. And the second number is your consumed calories, everything that you're eating, okay? Water, no calories. Diet soda, no calories. Cookies, 600 calories. You know what I mean? So, everyone will tell you, if they're smart, you add the resting and the active, get your total burn, subtract your consumed, and you get the magic number. This number, if it is a positive number, right? If you're, let's say you burn 3,000 calories and you've consumed 2,000. 3,000 minus 2,000 is 1,000. If your number is positive, that means that you burned more than you ate. Okay? Right there. Weight loss. If the number is negative, if you ate 4,000 and you only burned 3,000. So 3,000 minus 4,000 is negative 1,000. You will gain weight. Not immediately, you know what I mean? But over time, right? If you ate, it's about 3,500 calories for a pound of fat. So if you overate by 3,500 calories, that's a pound right there. Do that every day for a week, and you gain 7 fucking pounds. Now, there's nuance to that. I don't know if your body can process that much extra calories. You might just shit it out. But generally speaking, if you're eating in excess of 3,500 calories, yeah, like on top of your maintenance, then yeah, you're gonna get fat. As mentioned, there is nuance. The big thing that you also should be aware of is protein. Now, a lot of people that I'm close with, a lot of people I see on the internet, a lot of people have this idea due to pop culture that protein is all you need to worry about. They think that if you are prioritizing your protein and, you know, you're doing good at your workouts, etc., then nothing else matters. Bullshit! Absolute fucking bullshit. All protein does is if you hit a significant amount of protein, right? People say it is 0.8 grams per pound of lean mass. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't know how much lean mass they have. I certainly don't know. I can guess. You know what I mean? I can make guesses, but you don't know. What I tell people, okay, and here it is, per body weight. Some people do kilograms, some people do grams, vastly different numbers, which is my point. So I say, don't be below 80. Don't be below 80 grams. If you're like me, you know what I mean? You're a big thick guy. Shoot for like 100 plus. You know what I mean? Make sure it's significant because you're going to lose muscle mass, plain and simple. That's just a thing. But for a lot of people that I talk to that are significantly overweight, that's the last thing you need to fucking worry about, you know? A lot of people I talk to are 50, 100, 200 pounds overweight. Some of them are in the 500s, right? And I will tell a guy in the 500s all the time that protein is a significant thing because it can help you stay full longer, is what they say. The more protein you eat, it's less calories for more food, just like a lot of fibrous, like vegetables and things. You can eat a lot of lettuce, and you can eat tomatoes and things like that, watermelon. Very good for what they say, volume eating. I dislike the idea of volume eating because it doesn't tackle the problem that you shouldn't be treating food like a game to get as much as possible, and you shouldn't be treating hunger like something that can never happen to you, right? I think it is okay to be hungry. I think it is okay that in this point you are quite literally starving yourself. You are eating less than you burn. It's not going to be pleasant, and the more you run away from that unpleasantry, the harder and harder it's going to be, and the more relapse you're going to have. Obviously, if you can make this process easier, do it, right? If you can eat higher protein to get more volume for less calories, if you can eat more fruits and vegetables, things that are good for you, I'm never going to tell you no. But I do think that there's two veins to that. One, if you start trying to run away from hunger and you just can't handle it, that's a problem, right? Because the second you get hungry, things are going to go south, and you're going to get hungry on this, no matter what you do. Another thing is people that try and game the system with calories, where they'll cheat themselves. You know, I do this sometimes, right? Like, excuse me, pickles, for example. Cucumbers and pickles are very low calories. I've known myself to eat a jar of pickles in a day, and the total calories is probably somewhere around 80 to 100, depending. Negligible, really. Like, it's not something I have to worry about. But I'll do that where it's like, oh my god, like, I'm so hungry, let me just eat a fuck ton of pickles, and then not track it, because it says 0 calories, but we know better. We know there's the if you eat the whole jar, there's calories, you know. Not a significant amount, but people do that where they're like, oh, well, you know, the slice of pizza says it's 200 calories per slice, so I'm going to get this giant slice that's the size of 2 of them and only log it as 200. And it's like, okay, sure, whatever, but you're cheating yourself because you're eating the gram weight of the food is 400, right? So you're going to log it incorrectly. That's fine, whatever. But when you don't see progress, things like that are why. If you make a habit of that, you can do it every now and then. I've done it before. You know, it's not going to ruin the whole process. But when you start cheating yourself, you can't do that significantly or often. So, case in point, a lot of people that are extremely overweight, obviously protein helps, obviously nutritional food helps, but you don't need to go crazy because, as I listed here, I was 346 when I really started August 14th, 2025. If I just took my plain old body weight and not my lean mass that I didn't know what it was, 276.8 grams of protein a day. A fucking day. And I've maintained my muscles. You know what I mean? They really are not any different than what they were. Really just eating between 80 and 120 grams of protein per day. Just rough estimate. I really don't even bother to track it. You don't need to, So let's see here. Yeah, really short women, you don't... Obviously, again, it helps. The more protein you eat, the better things are. It's just that, not a big deal. But if you're not eating enough protein, if you are significantly skimping on the protein, you will have muscle loss. And that is not really helping anything. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, right? The more energy you need because it's muscle, it's functional tissue instead of just fat storage. So it does help, right? I will never tell somebody not to. I just think that a lot of people extremely prioritize... What the hell is this? I don't like it when a thing suggests someone to me and I have no idea who the fuck they are. I'm just gonna delete that. Anyways, I lost where I was at. Yeah, the more muscle you have, the better it is. But I also would not stress out about it either. So the biggest things you need to do are eat less calories than you burn. Get enough protein. Get enough. And don't stress about that part. Do not stress about the protein. You'll be fine. I promise you, if you're eating just normal human foods, you'll be okay. So I want to talk about getting started. I really want to understand. I want you to understand this part. I joke about protein shakes and things here. I legitimately think the best way to go about this is because it is a mindset change. Because you are changing the way your brain is functioning and going around food. I think before you break out the food scale, I think before you go crazy, I think you should try to start just making better choices, right? Getting in the mindset, understanding what works for you. Because when you start making these huge adjustments, for a lot of people, right? A lot of people that live normal lives, and they eat too much dinner, or, they get snacks and things that they shouldn't, I have friends that are just like this. I will track the calories behind them because they'll ask me they want to do this and they want to get started, and I'll be like, okay, just for the next month we're just gonna loosely track. You're gonna write everything down, send it to me. If you want, send me the pictures and I will track the calories best I can. Obviously I'm estimating and using ChatGPT to help me get it based on the pictures you send me. But again, it's just awareness, right? We're not harsh tracking, because when you start tracking, I'll tell you, yeah, go to the grocery store, start weighing things out, getting used to things, etc. Once you get in a rhythm, it's not that bad. And once you start eating things that are prepackaged or set calories, an apple's about 80-90 calories. It's not really a big deal. You know what I mean? The variance is fine, whatever. Every apple's in about that range. You start getting the Greek yogurt and you measure it out. And it's okay, great. I put it in here. I'll measure it out. I need 200 grams of yogurt, this many calories, etc. Once you get in a groove, you just know the numbers and you're fine. You can start writing them down and just, copy paste them into your daily log. Not that bad. But I do think that because it's a mindset adjustment, you should start just living normally and just making better choices. You can still get dessert at this stage. You can still get French fries, but start really thinking about it. Start getting used to only eating a couple fries and then giving the rest to a friend, or sharing a dessert or something with somebody. Get used to the idea of food not being a scarcity thing, right? That these things, you'll get them again tomorrow. If you like French fries, oh man, it sucks only having 2 French fries. Sure, but you can have 2 French fries again tomorrow. And the next day, and every day you can have French fries. You just can't have a large fry. You can't gorge yourself on French fries. You can have like half the piece of cake. If you go to Publix right now, you can get a piece of cake for about 630 calories. Cut it in half, it's about 315 calories. 315 calories easily fits into my day. Easily. I can easily put it. I go for a little walk. That's 315 calories. I mean, used to be when I was 350. Now takes a bit more. Let me pull up my counter today, because I went to Walmart, walked around for, I don't know, like maybe 30 minutes or so. My total active burn, it was at 50 calories when I left the house. Now it's at 160. So walking around for at most maybe 40 minutes burned about 100 calories, right? Just kind of wandering the Walmart, walk intentionally, or like go for a jog or something. Absolutely. You know what I mean? That cake is a blip in your fucking day. And you're like, oh man, well, I don't want the half the cake. I want the whole cake. Eat the other half tomorrow. You can get a whole cake and just eat on it and share with your friends. It is about the mindset shifting, getting out of that. I need to have this. I need to do this. I need to do that. You don't. It's okay. You know what I mean? I get it. Tomorrow's not promised, but that's more for like doing things that you're scared of. That's not a mindset for gorging yourself on food. So you need to ease into it. You need to get out of the mindset, because if you start restricting, your brain and your body's gonna be like, whoa, hold on. Who are you to tell me what to do? Pay attention to your groceries. If you have a family, if you have other people involved, it's not just you're putting at risk. You might have children. You might have a wife that, or a husband, or whoever you are. You might have, family members that live with you that are eating the exact same foods, but they're not gaining weight. Figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, if you notice that, like, I'm just going to use a dad for an example. Let's say you're this big dad that's eating, this big old plate of food, and then you get a second plate of food, and it's like everyone else isn't really eating that much. They're not finishing their plates or whatever. And it's like, it's the same food. They're just not eating as much. Tackle that issue, Look at it and see, is it a hunger thing? Is it my wife made a bunch of food and I want to eat it thing? You know what I mean? Is it what is happening there? Because if it's just really calorie dense, and you just need like a significant meal to satiate you, try eating something healthier, right? Instead of like chicken Alfredo with garlic bread, which is fucking delicious, right? Try something that is not super calorie heavy, right? Like you could do like steak and a potato, do that more often. You don't have to get a fancy steak. You can get a much cheaper cut, or just like ground beef, right? Like a hamburger type thing. There's ways around it. Or just the chicken and some kind of, you can get you can make a butter sauce for it that is significantly less calories, because it's just the butter and some spices or whatever it may be. You don't need to do the cheese and the cream and all the other stuff. You can save a lot of calories for functionally the same meal in the same portion, and if everyone has to go along with that, again, make it palatable, right? Don't just, I have to eat dry chicken and rice and broccoli. No, you can have fun with this. You just have to track the calories, but start by figuring out what's happening. Reading the nutrition labels is a big thing, right? If you, let's say you like ice cream is the big thing, right? Let's say you like ice cream and you read the label, and the ice cream is fucking 500 calories per serving, and there's 6 servings, and you're eating the pints, right? Like you go home after work and you eat the pints, and you're eating 3,000 fucking calories in one shot. That's like your day. You know what I mean? That's your whole fucking day maintenance for a lot of guys. There's other options, and they're more expensive. They are more expensive, and that's kind of how they get you, is that if you're gonna try and do the same thing but get the like lower calorie option, usually the ingredients are more costly. Because instead of just milk, it's like whey protein isolate and other bullshit. Try other things. Try them. See if they work. See if they fit in the budget. Experiment. This month or 2 months or however long that you're really getting through it, experiment and figure things out. Genuinely, that is going to be the best way to go about it, because I used to do this a lot, where I would diet and I would change things and I would lock myself into things and I'd be like, oh, this tastes gross, but it's going to get me where I need to go. and then I would not stick with it because it was disgusting and it was miserable. You know, if you try the Halo Tops and you don't like them and they're bad, don't just keep eating them because this is my ice cream. First of all, the ice cream's a treat. You know, I would rather you go get some ice cream and just eat a smaller portion and just get used to doing that than try and push through something you don't like just because it's like the same brand of thing for the same. No. You don't need to do that. You know, it's mindset. Really tackle the thoughts, tackle the reason behind these things, analyze what's happening. Because that is like holding yourself accountable for the decisions you're making, not just doing them to do them. You know, and I get the idea. I get the idea that, like, you know, you want to lose weight. The whole idea of like, oh well, why am I just fucking around here? You know, it's not fucking around, it's setting yourself up. They say that if you have 10 hours to cut down a tree, you should at least spend the first hour sharpening the axe. You know, the sharper you are, the more locked in you are with these things before you even start is so important, right? And when I get to my goal weight in terms of what I wanted, you know, we'll tackle that. But for right now, we need to talk about the beginning, because I've gotten through the beginning. I'm right almost at the end point right now. I'm almost there in terms of what my goal was. Now, obviously, I still have a ways to go, right? I'll show you my little tummy here. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not really what I want, but it's like normal now. You know what I mean? Like it's just like normal fat guy, you know? It's not like it used to be. So this is a long-term thing. This is huge. Experiment, try things out, hang out with your friends. Don't just give up on that stuff, you know. There's a lot that you can still do. Like I said, you can go to Texas Roadhouse. You can and you can still get a steak. The steaks aren't that high calorie. You can still get a baked potato. You can still have some rolls. Just budget that in your day. You know what I mean? Instead of eating a whole basket of rolls and another basket of rolls and we need 6 baskets of rolls, just have a couple, man. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? The Texas Roadhouse isn't going out of business tomorrow. You'll be okay. You can go again. It's fine. Just read the calories. Because again, you add the mac and cheese instead of the fucking baked potato, and you get the smothered onions, and then you get a loaded baked potato, and you start adding these things up, and then it kind of gets you. And I'm going to be so for real. The fucking green beans are bullshit. You know, a lot of the times, too, the low-calorie option is bullshit. I was pissed. I got the green beans, and I was like, fuck that. I should have just eaten like a couple less rolls, because I had like 4 rolls or some shit. And I was like, if I just eaten 2 rolls instead of 4 and then gotten the baked potato, it would have been better off. Experiment. Learn these things, because now I know, okay, when I go there, I'm getting the baked potato. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to eat less rolls. You know, this isn't like anytime you fuck up, it's just over, especially in this beginning phase. This beginning phase, you are experimenting, you're learning, you're doing things, and hopefully making these better decisions will lead you to start losing some weight. If not, stop gaining weight, right? Because a lot of people are actively gaining weight, and they're like, oh my god, what do I do? You know, my weight's climbing up. Start by just making better choices, and that will certainly help. Because the big thing is that this is forever, right? All of these things you're doing, everything that's involved, you are doing this for the rest of your life. Not meticulously tracking, but you're making better choices. This is not, I eat whatever the fuck when I'm skinny, and then, you know, I'll just be fit, so it's fine. No! You're just gonna get fat again if you do that. I see a lot of guys do that, where they fall off, you know, and it is what it is, right? You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? But if you don't keep locked in forever, if you don't, like, and I don't mean dieting, I just mean eating with the proper mindset of, you know, I don't need to gorge myself, I can have more tomorrow, you know, knowing that, you know, these things are important, understanding the idea behind calories and healthy alternatives, understanding that you can still have things, and you can still have big days, they just can't be often, you know. You can, like on my birthday, I had so much fucking sushi, dude. I had like a shit ton of sushi and cake, and, you know, at my birthday party, I had a shit ton of cake and enchiladas, and it was great. But that was just for my birthday. That was it. After that, I locked the fuck back in, and it's fine. There's a lot of processes that need to kind of work hand in hand. But as long as you understand how to lose weight and you understand the idea behind what is calorie dense, what isn't, how to track, how to understand these things, you'll be okay. You'll be fine. Once you get a routine going, it's a lot easier. Once you figure out what you want. In my case, my rice and beans bowl, about 680 calories. It's like 700 now because I switched to jasmine rice. But, there's a lot of things that you can make that you're going to want to make repeatedly, because if you get in a rhythm of, okay, my rice and beans bowl is 700, I eat 2 apples and 2 string cheese and a Greek yogurt for breakfast, and then I go home and I eat some rice and some tuna and some chicken nuggets, and it all totals up to be about 1,800 calories, and then my total burn is this much, and this is a deficit of whatever. Once you just get in that routine, you're fine. And if you need variance, you can have different things. Like, okay, today is the rice and beans, tomorrow is the chicken and the green beans, and then Wednesday I do these burritos, and you can have variance. Me personally, I like to have the same thing generally as much as possible. A, it makes grocery shopping easier, and B, it makes the tracking so much easier because I can memorize the things. I don't have to have a list of all the different foods and the recipes and meticulously track everything. No, I get the cup of rice, I get the can of beans, like half a can of the corn and half a jar of the salsa. Throw it in there, the same shit every time. It's easy, It very quickly can frustrate you if you don't have a plan because you are constantly trying to find things that fit in the budget. If you take some time, again, you don't have to start right away. You know what I mean? Saying that you want to start losing weight does not mean that you will start dieting tomorrow. It means that you start laying the groundwork. Again, pay attention to the food you're eating. Find out foods that work for you. Start looking at calorie labels. It might be fucking like months before you really get going, but it's the idea of having it in your mind that I need to make a change, I need to do things differently, and then figuring out what that is. A lot of people hire coaches for that, just to kind of cut things faster, right? I think that easing into it is better for a lot of people. You just have to be honest with yourself and you have to be intentional. I want to say the Chef Boyardees are actually low calorie as shit, but that's unrelated. But yeah, so you very quickly will fuck yourself over if you try and just raw dog it and just, I'll figure it out, I'll do this, I'll do that. Now, you 100% will fuck yourself if you're not locked in, because you're going to be hungry, right? And if you're still in the beginning stages of this stuff, right? If you're just raw dogging it, I'm going to go in the fridge and make something, chances are you're not setting yourself up for success, if nothing else. That's how I feel. So, the really getting started part, once you've got everything sorted out, once you know what you're doing, once you have some ideas, once you've tackled all of these ideas about what you have to be doing, it's time to get serious. Let me read through this again. Obviously, you want things that'll keep you full, nutrition rounded, and not make you sick. A lot of people talk about macros. Here's my relationship with macros. I do not care. I don't care at all. I understand that a lot of people track meticulously, and protein's a big one, and fiber and all these things, and they will try so hard to hit like a fucking like perfect split. And that's good. That's really good, right? I think that there's nothing wrong with macros. But for a lot of my guys that are getting into it, for a lot of guys that I talk to that are severely overweight, that are struggling, I wouldn't worry about it. I really would not worry about it. Generally speaking, as long as you're not just eating straight Twinkies and you're just eating fucking like snack cakes up till 1,800, 2,000 calories and just stopping, as long as you're eating food, you're probably fine. And if you start to notice genuine issues, look at what you're eating and just see, okay, well, I'm eating mostly chicken and rice. I don't have a single fucking vegetable. Let me cut back on the rice and put some vegetables in there and some fruits, take a multivitamin. You know what I mean? There's ways around it. You'll be fine. I think that I would focus on the calories, especially the heavier you are, the more I think the calories should be your biggest focus, because calories in, calories out is really the biggest thing that matters. Have your routine, figure things out. Like I said, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Maybe you don't do that like that. Maybe you do like I do, and it's more like between 8 and 12. I just kind of snack on whatever I pack for my snacks. My string cheese, my apples, my Greek yogurt. And then 12 hits, and I eat my rice and beans. And then if there's snacks left over, I eat them in the afternoon. Otherwise, generally, I don't eat anything unless I'm not feeling well. And I have some Skittles and Starbursts I keep in my desk drawer. It's like 60 to 120 calories, depending on how many I eat of each thing. Really not a big deal, but it helps. Like, if I'm just starting to feel a little woozy, all the running around I do. So kind of figure your shit out. You know what I mean? You don't need to starve yourself. You're gonna get hungry. You can drink water or, diet colas or whatever. But if you're legitimately hungry, again, I think you should be comfortable being hungry. I think you should accept this is part of the game. This is how it works. But I also think that if you're legitimately, not feeling well, I think if there's issues, eat something, right? If you legitimately are hungry, do something. It does not have to be significant. It doesn't have to be crazy. You can eat an apple for the 80 to 90 calories, however much it is. You'll be okay. Or you can just not. You'll be fine. But if you're legitimately feeling sick, not bored, not like, oh man, I want to munch on something. If you're legitimately, your stomach hurts, your head feels nauseous, you feel woozy, whatever, eat something. You'll live. You're gonna be okay. If you're, let's say you're at your goal. Let's say you're at 2,000 calories, and let's say you're like, oh shit, it's 3 p.m. and I fucked something, I miscalculated, and I accidentally ate too much. I'm at my goal. What do? Eat when you're at home, right? You know what I mean? If it's 3 o'clock, whatever, wait until 6 or 7 or whatever it may be. And if you're oh my god, I'm so fucking hungry, eat an apple, eat some Greek yogurt. You know what I mean? You can, excuse me, you can do another 300 calories, and you'll be okay. And if legitimately you're concerned about it, let's say you're trying to hit a deficit of about 1,000 calories. Let's say this pushes you back 300 to 500 calories, right? So your deficit's only about 500. What the fuck ever? Just lock in tomorrow. You know what I mean? Not only are you still in a deficit, so you didn't ruin anything, you didn't binge and eat a bunch of bullshit, there's always tomorrow. This goes the same way for your deficit. Now, I will highly recommend, if you fuck up, and if you do binge, if you eat too much, if you do whatever, do not try and immediately out-deficit that. Accept that the next 3 days are fixing that, and the deficit that would have been fat loss is just undoing that. Accept it right now. Because I've done it, where I will eat too much. Literally, I swear to God, 2 days ago, I went on a little day trip. I had fun. I got some of my favorite foods. I got some chicken mac and cheese. I got Caesar salad, cotton candy ice cream, fudge. It was cappuccino flavored. I got some pan au chocolat, strawberries, some gummy candies. I got all of my favorite foods, and I was so happy. And I did the estimates and the math, and it was about 5,000 fucking calories. I was in the car most of the day, so did not burn very much. I don't even think I broke 3,000 burned. It was some bullshit. And you know what I did yesterday? You know what I ate yesterday was I had a sugar-free Red Bull for 20 calories and a jar of pickles for about 80 calories. So about 100 calories eaten, fucking 2,600 burned. I also didn't do very much yesterday. Do I recommend that? Absolutely the fuck not. Do not do that. But for me, I was tired. I didn't want to do anything. And did I get hungry? Absolutely. That's why I ate the pickles, right? But could I handle it? Yeah. You know what I mean? But for people that work, for people that have things going on, I work just not on the weekends. For all of these situations, absolutely don't do that. That's not good for you, right? People talk about fasting. People say whatever, and I think it's fine. But the idea of treating yesterday's food as this thing you need to punish yourself for, something you need to immediately get out of, I don't recommend it. Did I do it, and is it fine? Have I done it before? Absolutely. There are things you can do, but if you're really early in the thing, if you're hearing this right now, especially the heavier you are, don't do that. Don't get in that headspace. You know what I mean? I'm towards the end of where I want it to be. I'm so locked in. I'm on like I said, August of last year is when I really started this. It's mid-July. It's July 19th. I'm almost at the year point that I've been doing this. I trust myself to not make that a habit, right? I trust myself to get through that, to not rebound the next day. It's the next day. Like I said, I fasted more or less yesterday. And today, I had my rice and tuna bowl. It's about 410-ish calories. And then a Greek yogurt for about 90 calories. So I've only eaten about 500 calories, and it's about 1:30 p.m. Going to see some friends later. We're going to have pizza. So naturally, I'm saving a lot of my calories for that. That's another thing that I do that... It's a tricky subject. I think that in that mindset, again, I'm very locked in. I can do these things. I trust myself. I know what I'm doing. But I think that for a lot of people, you're better off just not eating very much. You know what I mean? Like, go have the thing and then just have a couple slices of pizza. So it's only, let's say it's like 300 calories per slice. Let's say it's about there. 600 calories. If you eat like 1,200, 1,400 before you go and then just eat a couple pieces of pizza, you'll be okay. Again, getting comfortable being like, look, I love pizza. I want to eat a bunch of pizza. If it were up to me, I would eat a whole fucking pizza and that'd be fantastic. But that's not good for you. Number one, you shouldn't do that. And number two, understanding that, okay, I love pizza, sure, but like I could get pizza whenever I want. Whenever I want to, right? Theoretically, I could. So I don't need to. I don't need to, oh my god, I'm at a party and there's pizza, let me just eat a fuck ton of it, you know? You don't need to do that. If you want more, just wait till tomorrow, it's fine. I guarantee you, that's another thing too, is a good number of foods, cake, pizza, these things. My biggest thing at first was that I struggled with the idea that, like, if you get these things and you don't have friends or family or whatever, what do you do with the leftovers? You have to eat it all, right? Like, you have to eat this whole cake before it goes bad. You have to eat this pizza. You know, I'm not really a big fan of leftovers. I gotta eat the whole pizza. I guarantee you, if you bring a cake or a pizza or some other, like, you know, obviously, like a Caesar salad's pretty... It's not bad, but I mean, like, a big old Caesar salad, like, you know, you can't really... You know, you're not gonna bring that to the break room and just leave half a salad out there. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna eat that shit. But, like, cake... If you bring cake to work and you cut yourself a slice and you weigh it out and, you know, you're like, okay, cool, you know, about 600 calories here. I'm going to eat that in my day. It's fine. You know, I've walked a lot today. I tracked my calories. I'm okay. I can eat this. And then just leave it there and just put a note on there that says anybody that wants it, eat some cake. Guarantee you that shit's gone. And you know what? If it's not gone, oh well. You know what I mean? It's there. Fuck it. Tomorrow, get another piece of cake. You know what I mean? As long as you track it in your shit, you're fine. So that's another thing too, is like sharing things, etc. Just keep an eye on it. You'll be okay. So the scale. I zoomed up too much. There we go. The scale. Once you get to this point, right? I don't recommend. I think you should take a starting weight at the very beginning. I don't even think you should be fucking weighing yourself while you're doing the, like, figuring things out. Now, is it a bad idea? No. I just think that if you're not really, like, locked in making changes, like, at this point, I think that first couple months, I wouldn't even bother, you know? I did, just because I wanted to, and you can, but, you know, things are going to fluctuate weird because you're not locked in at that point. Maybe you do, maybe you jump right into it, but if you're following this plan, you wouldn't be. So... when you check the scale, this is a big thing that fucks up a lot of people. This is a long-term process. Like I said, I was 346 August 14th last year, and now I'm 257.8 this morning. And we'll see where I'm at on the morning of August 14th. We'll see what happens. I'm really hoping that I can get to 250 by then. I'm really hoping that, you know, a whole year passes and I get to 250, that would be fucking phenomenal. But I need you to understand. I need you to understand that the number on the scale, right, is your bones and organs, your muscles, your fat, your poopies, the food and water, clothing if you don't take your clothes all the way off. It is everything that is on top of the scale. Which means that you could be losing fat. Your body can be burning fat. It can be in the process of doing so. It could have already done it. And if you don't take a big enough shit, if you don't piss enough, if you have too much sodium the previous day, if your muscles are inflamed or whatever it may be, you know, the number might be higher. It might be lower. You know what I mean? You might, you know, not even like lose fat one day, but you just like take a huge shit and then the next day it weighs less. So you don't eat very much and then the number goes down. The number is going to fluctuate, which is why checking it daily is not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad idea, right? I think you can check it whenever you want, but I do think that you need to never ever get discouraged, right? If you are truly locked in, right? If you are doing what you need to be doing, if you're eating less calories, etc., excuse me, then long term, the scale will go down. Hold on. Yeah, this is fine. I can show this. So my goal, I have a bingo plan. You can't, hold on, I can just move this. Oh, you can't see that anyways. This document is a bingo sheet that I actually hit bingo already, but I want to try and do all of the goals. It's a bingo sheet that I want to get done by the end of the year. And I've done, like, these things here are just what's left, right? Like, legitimately, all of this stuff, you know, and these are my notes and things and whatever. This is January. So this is everything, and I'm gonna ignore most of it. But I started this year, right, January 1st ish, about 310.3 is where I was. By the end of the month, I was 300.5 was my new low. I generally track the lows. I've had times where like I've tracked month to month. I'm not gonna pull up the picture, but like in June, I tracked on the 4th, and then the 8th through the 13th, and I don't know what I was doing in between hand, but I did the 18th through the 20th, then the 25th to the 27th, and it started on June, here, I have the number here, June, I started 270.4, was where I started at, and then June 4th, I was 269.9. June 8th, 267. June 12th, I hit 265.5. And then, yeah, by the end of the month, yeah, I didn't really lose a whole lot in June. I was fucking struggling in June. But that was where I ended up. And then now here I am this morning, 257.8. So if you'll notice, right, go to January, and I'm realizing I don't think you can see. Yeah, you can see enough. You can see enough. 9.8 pounds. Then we go to 9.1. Then March was 9.1. April 5.3. My birthday kind of fucked me up there. Then May 6.6. June flat 5 pounds, and now July we're at 7.6, and it's only the 19th. I'm hoping to continue to drop from there, because now I'm doing a it's like a 40,000 calorie deficit challenge, and I want to say I only have like 15,000 left. Let me look. No, I have 14,757. So yeah, about 15,000. So my point being is that the number will trend. If you're doing everything right, the number will trend down. You'll be okay. And if it doesn't trend down, usually you know what you're doing wrong, right? You know that you're not following your calories correctly. You know that you're eating a lot and your body, like, the weight isn't moving, you know? Because that's kind of what helped me at the beginning of the month, making this work the way that it did, was at the end of June, I would, like, eat a bunch of the weekends and then cut really hard, right? And I would cut really hard throughout the week, and it would counteract it. My overall deficit would be there, but there was all of this food volume and poop volume and all these things water retention, and it's like, obviously, you can see that the number, like I said, the number is down. It's down from where it was. There has been a significant drop, right? But the scale wasn't reflecting that because it was so messy with the other stuff going on. So, genuinely speaking, yeah, and see, your deficit in the daily, it's weekly, if you do every day at like 1,800 out of 4,000, and you have one day of like 100 surplus, the overall is there, right? Like the overall is that much, because you're going to lose fat, and this is where I push for what's called an aggressive deficit. I personally think that the best way to do it is to track the food higher than it is if you're guessing, and track the calories burned lower if you're guessing. So that way you eat less, right? And you burn more, presumably. Because unless you go get like an actual like a DEXA scan to know your body composition, and you get something like actually like one of those things you breathe into and it checks your caloric burn or whatever, it's hard to know, and you're never exactly going to know how many calories you burn being active. I use the Apple Watch. I use the Apple Health. That's what I use, and that's the numbers that I go based on. And then same deal, I use nutrition labels, but those are, plus or minus 20% or some bullshit. What is it? I guesstimate for a lot of things, like the 5,000, it was like 4,900 or something, but the 5,000 calories I had on Friday, genuinely a fucking guess. Truly a guess. I have no idea. I could be higher, I could be lower. I tried to take the midpoint ranges. Generally I would tell someone to take the higher numbers. I'm taking the midpoint numbers, right? Because I'm guessing. And it's fine, because in the next day, immediately just fucking fix it. But I think that you want the number on paper to look as big as possible, so that if you fuck it up, right? If you get a decent ballpark, it's okay. So, it's not a 100% perfect science the way it's been presented. Okay. The calories on your nutrition labels are allowed to be 20% higher or lower, right? Generally speaking, it averages out. Okay. Prepackaged stuff is going to be more consistent, it's good science. But unless you're weighing your food, things are going to be a little fucked up. Like my mayonnaise, right? In my tuna salad, in my rice and tuna mix that I do, I just take a spoon and I scoop it. I don't know if it's a tablespoon or not. I have no idea. That's why I use the light mayonnaise. It's about 35 calories per tablespoon, So it's like 220 calories for the rice, 120 for the tuna. That's about, I want to say 340 calories right there. So 2 tablespoons then of mayonnaise would kick it up to that 410 number. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, I don't know, but I think 2 tablespoons is a fair estimate. Now, could I measure it out every single time? Yeah, but I don't want to, right? Even if it's 4 whole servings and it ends up being 500 whatever number calories, it's not that crazy, because we have this aggressive deficit, right? I'm probably, when I list 1,800, it might genuinely not be 1,800. It might be 2,000. But it's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, see, this was before I switched to 35 calories. This is 50 calories per tablespoon. Like I said, outdated. So yeah, that number right there. My active burn was 1,087. My resting burn was 2,597. And that's 3,600. And then my calorie intake was 1,435 that day, which is fucking, I had to have eaten after that. So yeah, even if we added, say it was 10% off for the burn, kicking that down, and then we add 20% onto the total, assuming it's all plus 20%, it didn't average out, still kicking us to a 1,500 calorie deficit, which would be 1,500 calories of fat that your body needs to use. Do I recommend this? Yeah. I mean, you can be fine, right? You can be okay if you're locked in. If you do the things, you might get lucky. Whatever, you might be fine. But I do think that for the human component of it, we make these errors, we do these things, we make things convenient. The bigger the number is on paper, the closer you are to where you want to be, you know. And again, if you're miserable, if you're fucking starving, if your body's like, oh my god, like I feel sick, I feel like I'm gonna pass out, I don't feel good, and you're eating fucking 1,400 calories, eat more. You'll be okay. And if a month goes by and you haven't lost any weight, okay, well fuck, maybe I do need to eat less or move more, right? Maybe add more movement if that's how it works. If you add a perceived 400 calories to your plan and you want to keep the same paper number, add more movement. You know, going for a jog, like running like a mile or two or whatever it is, burns so many fucking calories. I understand for a lot of guys that are big, running is out of the question, right? I didn't start running till I was like 300. But walking, it does the same thing. You know what I mean? They say incline walking is really good for you. I don't understand it. But activity, anything, walking, swimming, you know, fucking, just slamming your arms on the keyboard when you're playing games, you know, just something to do, movement, increase it, right? So the bigger thing that you do, the bigger deficit, the better off you're going to be, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think that you want to shoot for a big deficit, and then it'll all average out. What else? Controlled refeeds. This is like, that terminology is for like bodybuilders and shit. But as aforementioned, right? As mentioned, where is it? As mentioned up here, it is weekly. If you are going crazy, if you're like, oh my god, I'm dieting so much, oh my god, I want cake, I want this, I want that. Again, you can have a borderline maintenance day. It's fine. You know what I mean? Because it averages out, you know? So you can... God, where is it? I literally lost it. Yeah, influencers, they put this thing out there where it's like, oh, you're not losing weight because you're eating in a 500 calorie deficit, and then, you're just out eating that on the weekend and out drinking and doing the things. And it's like, yeah, that's bad. So just cap yourself to maintenance on the weekends, you know? And again, the scale, right? If you're eating maintenance level food, if you're 300 some calories and your maintenance is 4,000, then yeah, eating that much food, the scale, let me do that. The scale's going to look messy, but the fat loss is going to be there. And a month from now, it doesn't matter how messy the scale is, because at a point it will shunt downwards, right? If you know you're locked in, if you know the math is good, right? And if you're running an aggressive deficit to make sure the math is good, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Like I said, it was a slow June, but then once I locked back in and shunted things out, 7.6 pounds in, like 2.5 weeks. It's not impossible, but it is significant. You know what I mean? About 7.5 weeks. So the big thing, the TLDR, right? For anyone that is in this game, wants to know what to do, eat less calories than you burn, track it correctly, make this as easy on yourself as possible, okay? Form a normal human relationship with food. Whatever food you fucking want, as long as you're getting enough protein and nutrients. You can eat carbs and sugars and fats. I do it all the time. It's okay. You just have to really tackle these things, right? Don't panic. Don't regress. Don't rush. Again, you're already fat. I'm still fat. All of these things. It takes so much time. I'm on month 12. This is like the end point where next month, right? August 14th, 2026 will be a year. And I'm still chunky. You know what I mean? Like I'm still not where I want to be. And for a lot of guys that are even bigger, this is going to be a multi-year, multi-year process. It's just part of the game. I would love to already be shredded. I'd love to already be muscular. And I don't really work out, too. That's the other thing. I get a lot of my activity just functionally doing shit. I haven't even started lifting. I tried at one point. It was a lot to add on to what I was already doing. not quite there yet. But you have so much time, and it's going to take so much time. So take that time. It's a weekly scoreboard. You know, for me, I'm doing monthly right now. It just makes it easier, because I'm tracking monthly for my shit. You know, a lot of people do that. I know a guy who only weighs in. There's a lot of guys that do this, but I know a guy that does once a month. You know what I mean? And me personally, I couldn't do that because A, I want to know, and B, it is easier to make adjustments. Because generally speaking, I trend down in the month. I've had, you know, months where things will start to trend downwards. I like to know. I think it's easier for it to get away from you that way. But you will have plateaus. You know, things will be the same on the scale. But, you know, you will get smaller over time. Your body does slow down. My maintenance calories went from... God, I mean, I can pull up the numbers right now. I can literally tell you. So my resting burn, right? If we go to 6 months, just like the start of this year alone, January, it was hitting like 3,000, right? Like it was hitting 3,000. Sometimes the low end it'd be like 2,800, but generally speaking, it was pretty fucking high. Recently, I'm lucky if that shit hits 2,700. Like this week alone, like 2,700 on Monday, 2,688 Tuesday, 2,586 Wednesday, 2,674. Friday was 2,403, so I was in the car the whole time. And then 2,469 yesterday. Jesus Christ! And today, like I said, it's about to be 2 p.m. It's 1:57, and it's at 14:08. So I can't possibly see it getting where I want it to. Movement's another thing, and activity. I didn't really talk about it because I think that I don't need to give you a big talk about it, is the big thing. You don't need to go to... This is a huge thing. Oh my god, this is actually huge. I really hope if you're still watching this, you're at this point. You do not need to go to the gym. You don't need to. Oh my fucking god. So many guys. I see it all the time. The internet, in the real life, all of these guys are terrified of being skinny fat. They're terrified of you know, losing their muscles and whatever. They think that you have to go to the gym to lose weight. And let me fucking tell you, a lot of these guys that are really big, you can still eat so much. You know what I mean? You can still eat normal... You can eat 2,500 calories. You know, that's like my whole fucking resting calories, right? That's like my whole thing. I would have to do activity intentionally to get out of the maintenance, right? They think you have to go to the gym. You do not. You do not. If you don't like the gym, if you don't like working out, if it's a pain in the ass, you don't have to do it, right? Just normal thing. I get activity at work. You know what I mean? I play Pokemon Go. I clean. I do whatever. You can play the fucking Kinect or the Switch or whatever you have. Walk the dogs. All of these things. You don't have to be a fucking bodybuilder, go to the gym, and oh my god, I have to hit a new PR. You know what I mean? Is that necessary? Is it good for you? Obviously, every man, especially every, you know, grown up, should be lifting. They should be doing these things, right? Like I'm not saying you shouldn't do them. I'm just saying that if you're someone that is already overweight, that's already struggling, and you already have to deal with everything on this fucking 9-page document, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You will be completely fine. You will still lose weight. You have so much time before you even need to worry about that, 9 times out of 10. Now, if you're like at my weight and you're trying to cut down, yeah, you probably want to start doing that. You know, like when I hit 250, I'm probably going to have to start like lifting just to make things aesthetically pleasing, right? But when you're at the fucking 350s or even higher, and I know a lot of guys that are way higher, this is the last thing you need to worry about. Just focus on the food and the eating, because not going to the gym is not why this happened. It is 100% the food. 100. The gym helps. Running, lifting, walking, etc. All these things help, but it's not necessary. And if it is hindering progress, then stop. Stop doing it. Just focus on the food. You know, anything that gets you moving helps increase that active burn number. So that's the gist of what I have. Just a few closing remarks. Fast food's also not a bad thing. It's just like a lot of this stuff when it comes to fast food and restaurants and all these things, it's just the variability. Even when they tell you the calories, like for example, a McChicken is about 400 calories. How many times have you gotten a McChicken and the amount of mayonnaise is different than the last time, or they just put on a shit ton of mayonnaise? And they say that the mayonnaise is about 100 calories, right? I call bullshit on the amount they put. Like, sometimes that shit is soaked, and it's like, if a normal little dibble is 100, how much is the fucking super blast that they put on this time? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that I think the aggressive deficit helps counter, but I think you're so much better off just not even putting yourself in that situation if you can avoid it. You know, it's more expensive, but going to Chick-fil-A and just getting the grilled nuggets or the grilled sandwich, it's a lot more standardized. We're sure there's different amounts of the chicken, but you're not going to get an extra 100 fucking calories from a piece of chicken being slightly bigger or smaller, right? You know, the variance is different. I think if you cook things yourself, that's a better thing. If you weigh the chicken before you cook it, Google, this is a raw chicken breast, 300 grams, whatever it may be. Cook it, bake it, whatever you want to do. Track everything. I track genuinely everything. Sauces, oils, anything you cook in, marinades, all of these things. Track all of them and track them honestly. Track things honestly. Check nutrition labels. Check them. Measure things out. You know what I mean? You absolutely have to. You know, it is such an important thing. I had a friend, we talked about this, where I was helping him with the calories. He wanted to jump right in. And I kept telling him, I'm like, you really, like, this is the part we learn, right? This is not the part where you go crazy. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but we were talking about the ranch at Chick-fil-A, and he didn't think it was that many calories. And I had to point out to him, I was like, hold on, which one are you getting? And he was like, well, I get this for that one, but normally I get the big salad ranch. And I want to, like, Google this for you. Yeah, the Garden Herb Ranch is 280 calories per packet, right? The salad ranch. And if you get the avocado lime, that's 310, as it says. That's huge. You know what I mean? You could literally get a small fry for just the fucking sauce you're putting on your nuggets. You know, I do the honey mustard, which... The honey mustard is 50 calories per dipping. Now, it's less sauce, you know what I mean, compared to the big one. But, hold on. Yeah, if you get the cup, it's 100. So that is double the calories. Double the calories, which means I'm sure if you got the same amount, it would then be 140 for the salad if you did honey mustard in your salad like a weirdo. But the point being is that understanding these things, being aware of these things are huge. Do not just, it's protein, it's fine. I had a guy do that to me. He was like, my breakfast, it was, it was mostly protein. Okay, well, hold on. Because we tracked it was Waffle House. We tracked the calories. It was like the chicken and egg thing, and then what was it? He got like the sausage gravy all over it, and like a hash brown bowl or something or other. Like, he got all this stuff. And when I added up the calories, and then I added his lunch that he was eating right there, we were at Burger King talking about it. It was like 2 or 3 fucking burgers and some chicken fries and the firecracker pie. The whole thing ended up being like 3,800 calories or some shit. It was either 28 or 38. It was some like big number, you know. And it's like, okay, well, you're done. You're done eating. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, like, you're done eating and we're gonna go for a walk. You know, we're gonna walk around the park. You know, but it's something to be aware of, right? It's not like, you know, like we can call this day what it is. It's not a big deal. It's not like, oh my god, you fucked up, it's over. But you need to really pay attention to this and learn these things, because when you just hand wave these things and you don't think about what they are, you don't track the calories, you know, it gets away from you quickly, right? That day I had 2 waffles and 2 eggs, and I poured syrup all over that bitch and guesstimated the fuck out of it. I guesstimated that the 2 waffles, the 2 eggs, and the fuck ton of syrup total of about 1,700 calories, because I could measure, and there was some toast with the eggs too. I counted that too. I counted the jam. I counted all the things, and it was like the waffles were so much, the eggs were so much, the toast was listed as so much, the jam I just put like 50 because I think that was like the amount that I'd Googled for a previous set that was about the same size. I listed it, and then the syrup, I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. I asked ChatGPT, and I was like, how much? Like, I drowned it. Like, I fucking just poured the shit in there. You know, but again, it wasn't that big of a plate. So I just guessed, and the total ended up being like 1,750, and it's like, okay, Like that's me for the day at that point. And I ended up eating more just because that was not enough food for me at the way things were going. Everyone else was eating shit, but I didn't eat at Burger King. I skipped Burger King because then later I was like, they were talking about this it was like 5 p.m. and they were like, this is lunch. We're gonna have dinner later, and I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? Okay, no Burger King for me. I just got a big ass fucking cup and I filled it with zero sugar soda, and then that was me. That was me for the rest of the time. So doing those things where it's like, okay, like I don't even like Burger King. Burger King makes me fucking like it gives me a tummy ache. So I'm like, I don't need to eat just because we're all eating. I don't need to eat because I might be a little hungry. You know what I mean? I'll just wait for when we do dinner. And I ended up eating like too much. It was I don't even remember. I know I had cereal. It was like 2 bowls of cereal. It was some bullshit. And I estimated the calories. And I think the total, like, I want to say it was over by like 500 for the day or some shit. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. But I was pissed. You know what I mean? Because it's like, fuck. Like, I could have, if I'd went home and made my rice and tuna for 400 calories, I would have been about 2,100. I would have been okay. But I didn't. But, again, as aforementioned, where is it here? It's somewhere. Yeah, this stuff. It's fine. It's okay. Your weekly average, your monthly average. Like I said, I wanted to burn 40,000 calories this month in a deficit, right? Like the excess of 40,000, and I burned about 25,000 so far, and it's only the 19th. And I haven't tracked today yet. Like I've written it down, but I haven't counted today yet, obviously. So we're coming up into. We're going into the last third of the month, and I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm on par for things, but things like that are okay. Now, should you avoid doing it? Yeah, absolutely. If you can avoid, having a fucking 4,100 calorie day, avoid it. You know what I mean? But don't panic. You know what I mean? I wrote it somewhere in here, but like. Where is it? I wrote it somewhere. Yeah. Solution, if you eat too much, right? You know what I mean? If you fuck it up, don't just go back to eating 5,000 calories. You know what I mean? Just stick to what you're doing, You're not going to gain weight eating too little. You know what I mean? So that's what I was getting at here was like, if the plateaus happen, you're not gaining weight. So your body just needs time to like sort itself out. But same deal. If you eat 1,500 over, you're not instantly just going to put on half a pound of fat. It's like, oh, fuck, what do I do? You'll be fine. You'll genuinely be okay. Just tomorrow, that 1,500 calorie deficit you do, yeah, that just undid yesterday. Okay, cool. So let's say today, I overate by 1,500. Tomorrow I undereat by 1,500. Okay, I'm flat even. So now Tuesday, now we're back to going down. You know what I mean? It's fine. So that's pretty much all I've got. Yeah, I mean, if anybody watching this has specific questions about things, they want to hear more on a topic, I will go in depth, but I'm already well over an hour. And I think I've covered everything. So yeah, really it just boils down to all of this here. Thank you for watching, and good luck. Bye!